This video continues the subject of finishing edges and making scarves and squares. This machine can sew a 9mm width zigzag stitch. I'm using a replacement sole plate with a 5.5mm opening. Even so, delicate fabrics are prone to being dragged down through the slit, and the wide spacing of the feed dog teeth doesn't help. Here is the original sole plate with the 9mm opening. It's very wide. This is the zigzag foot that came with the machine, but I like to use a 5.5mm foot to make sewing delicates much easier. You can see the difference here. While I'm on the subject of optional extras, you can also purchase a straight stitch sole plate for most machines, which again makes sewing on delicate fabric much easier. There is a warning here to remind you not to use a zigzag stitch while the plate is fitted. You can see here how wide apart the feed dogs are. This machine has 3 feed dogs. This one in the middle, at the back, drags the fabric through. On some modern machines you have a 4th feed dog here as well, which is a real asset when it comes to sewing fine fabrics. But the technique I'm about to show you will work well without the extra accessories. So here is the method for my favourite chiffon silk finish, using a wide stitch machine. Here we have a square of silk, measured and cut along the grain. We are going to machine a straight stitch along each side, about 1/2 inch from the edge. Start at the corner point of the scarf, not at the raw edge, and stop your stitching about 1/2 inch from the end. Do the same on all sides, and make sure you leave long tails of thread. So at the machine I have my 5.5mm sole plate and foot fitted. Start your stitching 1/2 inch from the edge. We are straight stitching with perhaps a slightly longer than standard stitch. Make sure you have some nice long threads and hold them firmly at the back. And stop 1/2 inch before the end. Cut your thread with a decent length tail. Keep those tails out of the way and start the next side where the last stitching stopped. Use those tails to help your fabric through. So that's the first stitching complete, stopping where we started. So we have tails at each corner, which we will use to pull the fabric through if we need to. Next we are going to trim close to the stitch, being careful not to cut off our tails. So trim to about 1mm, that is as close as you can get, still leaving some fabric. Make sure you don't cut the long threads. So back at the machine, I have my zigzags set to half the width of a 5.5mm foot, so that's about 2mm or so. And I'm using a stitch length just a little longer than the standard length. I'm starting in the middle of a side rather than a corner. So I'm aiming the straight stitching line into the middle of the foot so that the zigzag goes over the edge. Use the tails to guide the fabric as you approach the corner. At the corner, with the needle down on the left and inside the previous stitching line, turn the fabric. Then continue stitching, using the threads to help the fabric travel. Even the single row is looking quite neat. Continue all round. Snip the threads at the start and then do a second trip round, feeding the previous stitches into roughly the middle of the foot. Again, using threads to help things along at the corners. This finish is looking very nice. That's a pretty good corner. So finally, sew in reverse to secure. Then just cut off your thread tails and trim any fine threads sticking out. Yes, I'm very happy with this edge, and it will even be safe in the washing machine. I do like this technique, as it is organic. It does not impose on the character of the silk. It is still very floaty. Use this for skirt hems, jabots, silk cuffs. So much nicer than the folded, stitched hem you so often see on silk. Join my site for more tutorials and many great classic sewing patterns. Thank you very much for watching.